There's nothing so powerful as an idea that comes at the right time. I hope today is one of those right times for many in my audience. And you never know when for someone it's the first time or you're the first voice. That sort of awakens a search for a better life. Meaning, skills, disciplines. Or you're one of many voices, or they've heard many before, and now yours sort of comes on a day when the lights go on and they're never the same again. Sometimes from a delightful experience or a tragic experience. It can be the day that changes everything. For me, it was the Girl Scout that knocked on my door when I was 25 years old and gave me the big presentation about Girl Scout cookies. And I wanted to buy, she said. It's only $2, several flavors, and with a big smile. She politely asked me to buy, and I wanted to. Big problem. I didn't have $2 in my pocket, so I didn't want to tell her that, right? I'm a grown man. I'm 25 years old. I've been to 1 year of college. I've got a little family going, so I decided next. That's to lie to her. I said, look, I've already got lots of Girl Scout cookies. I bought some, and we still haven't eaten all of them. They're in the house, she said. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And she leaves. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I mean, how low can you get, right? Lying to a Girl Scout, that's about as low as it gets. So I promised myself that day it would never happen again. And that was a life-changing day for me. So, disgust is my little story about the Girl Scout. I don't want to live like this anymore. It was traumatic for me. It was a traumatic day for me. I wasn't destitute, but I was behind on my bills once in a while. Getting a notice saying you told us the check was in the mail. Those embarrassing moments. But that was sort of the climax that day when I said, this is not the way to live. So whatever it is, disgust, one of the big days that changes your life decision making. I'm not going to be the same anymore. I'm not going to walk that road anymore. I don't want to be embarrassed anymore. I've been on my knees for the last time. That's big time. Those decisions that sometimes last for a lifetime. Some decisions are incremental. You make a decision to start the process, which is valuable. And then later you make the decision to continue. That felt good. That got good results. Why not continue? When I really started revolutionizing, especially my economic life, starting at age 25, the early success locked me in for a lifetime. I got such great early returns. I don't mean overnight, but at the end of the first week, at the end of the first month, I started a little part-time adventure. Age 25, that's available to all of us. So disgust. I've had it. That's a powerful emotion. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. This is the last day. That's powerful. Then the day you decide to make the changes, do something different. I decided to read the books. I started the program of reading. Now I've got one of the best libraries, probably of anyone that I know, of life-changing decisions that last a lifetime. Then I think on some of that, we need a little help, a little association. Two of the most powerful words in the world are let's go do it. It's powerful to say I'm going to do it, but it's even more powerful to say let's go do it. Sometimes if you want to change your health, that's a good thing to say. Let's do it together. Let's meet every Tuesday and every Thursday morning at Denny's. Talk it over. How are you doing? Here's how I'm doing. How are you doing? I think that's valuable. Let's do it. Let's get better educated. I'll read a book between now and Wednesday. You read a book and we'll get together and talk about both books. Okay, let's do it. See, we're by yourself. You may not do it, but if you had somebody like-minded, what's that ancient phrase says? If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. It doesn't take 2 or 3,000 or 2 or 300. If just 2 or 3 says, let's walk a higher road. Let's do it. Let's pull it off. The inspiration of camaraderie, working together. I've always used that. All of my enterprises, since I was 25 years old, have all been multiple 23,456 people. Let's do it. So powerful resolve says do it or die. I'll do it until the results start to come. And it's always resolve with willing to face the unknown. Yes, I said I was going to do it or die. But later, here's what I discovered. So then you have to sort of rearrange, right? It's like planting corn in an acre of ground and it never does come up. It never does come up. Somebody said, well, just keep on planting. Maybe you need a new acre. So maybe it isn't just persistence and do it or die. I'll plant every spring by gosh until I have a crop. Have you ever considered maybe you need a new acre to plant in? So that means like later. Discovery says, wow, I've been at this now 3 years. Nothing's happening. Then you say it. You know I said I was going to do it or die, but I've got some better information now. I need to go a new road, try a new acre. While emotions provide the fuel that launches your journey of life change, it's your philosophy of life that provides the foundation of that journey. Jim Rohn had to make several philosophical changes himself when he began to walk a new road at age 25. These same philosophies can also make a big difference in your life. Now I want to pass it along to you, some of the philosophies that changed my life forever. Here's the first. Profits are better than wages. Once I understood that, I got rich. Profits are better than wages. Nobody taught me that in high school. I went to college for a year and a half and never heard it. I'm 25 and broke. I'm not destitute. I'm broke. And I finally hear this philosophy. Profits are better than wages. Now here's the phrase that goes with it. Wages make you a living, which is fine. Profits make you a fortune, which is super fine. And you can live both fine and super fine. You've now got the mechanism and the ways and means to do that. Profits are better than wages. Guess what? Taught this in Moscow when I was teaching capitalism. You know, the communists had it all wrong. They taught that capitalism was, a big company that oppresses its workers. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. They had mentally lost it when they came up with this ridiculous philosophy. Communism taught capital belongs to the state, not the people. And we taught all these years what capital belongs in the hands of the people, not the state. That's why, of course, kids should pay taxes because they can be capitalists, and all capitalists should pay taxes. And it doesn't take much to start an enterprise. That makes a profit. I teach kids how to have 2 bicycles, one to ride and one to rent. I mean, how long does it take? How long does it take to make a profit? I mean, a little ingenuity, and you're on your way. So profits are better than wages. Capitalism better than communism. Communism said, people are too dumb and stupid to know what to do with capital, so you must take capital away from all the dumb, stupid people and give it to the all-wise, all-knowing state and let the state run everything. I mean, that was communism. And they devastated every country they touched. I've been to East Germany. It's taking $1 trillion just to clean up East Germany. They've already spent $500 billion. They got $500 billion more to go. I mean, every country they touched, and I've been in all of them, they devastated them all with their devastating philosophy. We teach capital belongs in the hands of the people. That's where the ingenuity is to bring goods and services to the marketplace. But once I understood this now, it was so incredible. Profits are better than wages. And here's what my mentor said, Mr. Shove. He said, Mr. Rohn, you can start this miracle working business part-time. You don't have to go full-time, you can start part-time. And he said if you'll devote to start with, let's say, 101,215 hours a week where you'll start making a profit. Here's what you can now say, I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune, because profits lead to fortune. I got so excited about that philosophy. I'm working full-time on my job, but now I'm working part-time on my fortune. I found a way not only to make a living, you won't believe this, I found a way to make a fortune. Can you imagine what that's like then? To get up in the morning, to go to work on your fortune. Not to go to work to pay the rent, which is okay, but a chance to go to work to make a fortune. And I said, right now, I'm working part-time on my fortune and full-time on my job. But it won't be long until I'll be working full-time on my fortune. Can you imagine what life is going to be like now? Here was my first goal when I started, and that was part-time. I wanted to equal on my profits part-time what I was earning on my full-time job. This is called the magic of part-time. It is so thrilling for people to start working the business part-time, because now you can work on profits, and it doesn't take very long. If you'll really concentrate on those 101,215 hours a week, it won't be long. If you really do it right and learn some of the skills I'm going to talk about, it won't be long until you can be earning as much part-time working on your fortune as you are full-time working on your job. I did that in less than 6 months. Now I've got an incredible invitation. I found a way part-time to work on my fortune, and I'm making as much money at that as I am on my full-time job. Would you like to hear my story? It was incredible. Now here was my second goal, to make twice as much money part-time working on my fortune as I was working full-time on my job. And I reached that in less than a year, making twice as much money part-time, working on my fortune as I was full-time working on my job. Now I've got an incredible invitation that won't quit. I found a way through a unique opportunity to work part-time on my fortune, and I'm now earning twice as much money as I am working full-time on my job. Would you like to hear my story? Do you imagine anybody would say, no, I don't care to hear your story? No. Everybody I said that to said, wow, yes. What are you doing? I said, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you now, when I started making twice as much money part-time as full-time, here's my dilemma. I didn't want to go full-time. And why not go full-time? And the reason was because I didn't want to give up my electrifying story, right? It was so powerful. Nobody could resist the invitation to at least take a look. I didn't want to give it up. And I hung on for I don't know how long until it was. Almost insane. Then finally, reluctantly, I gave up my full-time job. But now you can imagine the thrill and excitement of going to work full-time on my fortune. It was incredible. Here's the next one philosophy that helped change my life. It's not what happens that determines your life's future. It's not what happens that determines your life's future. It's what you do about what happens. All of us are in like a little sailboat, and it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your destination. It's the set of the sail. So jot this phrase down. It's one of the best to understand. Kids need to understand it. The same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of opportunity, the wind of change, the wind when it's upside down, the wind when it's favorable and unfavorable. It's the same wind blows on us all. The economic wind, the social wind, the political wind, the same wind blows on everybody. The difference in where you arrive in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, the difference in arrival is not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sails. And that's what learning is all about. Not to set a better sail this year than last year. To set a better sail. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich, you say. Well, the Democrats must have finally gotten power. No. It was not a political change. Here's what changed. Second 6 years of my economic life, it was my philosophy that changed the set of the sail of better thinking, correcting the errors of the past and picking up new disciplines for the future. That's all I had to do at the end of the first 6. Correct the errors of the past, and then pick up some new disciplines for the future. And my total life changed. The second 6 years was totally different than the first 6 of my working life. And guess who can do that? Anybody. Now you can keep on the same path for the next couple of years as you have the past 2. But if you wish to, and maybe everything's okay for you and you don't need to. But if you need to make some changes, I'm telling you, you can start doing it today so that the next 2 years will be drastically different than the last 2. And anybody who wishes to do that can. And you can do it between ages 40 and 43. You can do it between ages 13 and 50. You can do it between ages 60 and 62. Any 2 years, any 5 years that you wish to drastically change from the previous 5, you can do it. If you wish to know, this isn't written. This is not a law. Here's what it's called. Opportunity. But if you don't know, you can change. If you don't know, you can drastically change your income, change your future, change your health, change your marriage, change everything. If you don't know that, some people then go year after year after year after year, not making much change simply because they didn't get to the class. They never read the book. They never went to the seminar. They never made the discovery. They didn't seek for the knowledge of how could I make my life better. And if you just rock along, I'm telling you, it's okay. Anybody can live any way they choose. But I'm here to tell all of you that if you wish to, it's possible to make the next 3 years totally different than the last 3. And all you have to do is just a few things. So if you've got that one now, it's not the blowing of the wind. That determines your income. It's not the blowing of the wind that determines your fortune. It's the set of the sail. And that's why we gathered here today. Maybe I've got some ideas that'll help you with a couple of little things about setting the sail of your thinking that might drastically give you multiplied more benefit the next 3 years than you've gotten in the last 3. So it's not what happens What happens to everybody. Chevron years ago brought me in to talk to management. They said, Mr. Rohn, you travel around the world and you're fairly knowledgeable. What do you think the next 10 years are going to be like? I said, gentlemen, I can tell you, I do know the right people. So they all leaned forward and listened carefully. And I said, gentlemen, the next 10 years are going to be about like the last 10. The next season after fall is winter. I promise you, that's not going to change. After day comes night, I promise you, that's not going to change. Here's how the last 6,000 years reads. If you want to make a note of Jim Rohn's vision of history, the last 6,000 years, here's how it reads. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. It's going to read like that looks like for the next 6,000 years. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. Now, sometimes there seems to be more opportunity than difficulty, and then sometimes there seems to be more difficulty than opportunity. But the mix isn't going to change. After expansion comes recession. After recession comes expansion. Not to think so is naive. And once you've got just a little of this stuff settled, then you know exactly what to do. You know exactly what to anticipate, so you can be ready now. Here's the next one. Here's what it says. For things to change, you have to change. I was hoping the government would change and taxes would change and economics would change and my boss would change and be more generous. I wished for everything to change and my teacher said no. Mr. Rohn, for things to change for you, you have to change. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Once I understood this altered the course of my life. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And here's the big one. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. You don't need less problems, you simply need more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom, accept the challenge because you can't grow without a challenge. You can't get rich without a challenge. You can't fly without gravity. You have to understand the challenge, but that's the key. To now develop wisdom to overcome the challenge. Don't wish for less challenge, but more wisdom. And then here's one more philosophy to help change my life forever. You can do the most remarkable things, no matter what happens. Humans can do the most remarkable things, no matter what happens. Philosophies that changed my life. I think one is curiosity, wanting to know. And of course, it starts early, but it's a good thing to keep going. All of your life to be curious about what's happening. Curious about human beings. Curious about the setup. Curious about human behavior. Be curious about yourself, but be curious about government, politics, society, banking, money, army, navy, taxes. You know what makes things work? What makes a city work? What makes a government work? I remember years ago someone mentioned Russia might conquer China. I said, if you conquer China, what the heck would you do with it? Trying to comprehend how the world works. You know, trying to comprehend how when I remember going to Manhattan for the first time, I was so awestruck, this huge city. And one thing came to my mind was, how does this city work? How does everything get in? How does everything get out? And how does everybody get fed? And when you have a salad, the lettuce is fresh. And I thought, how does this happen? You know, it's a miracle how the city works. I mean, it's a miracle how the country works. How does an economy work, right? So that it stays on a steady course and it's amazing. But if you keep that kind of curiosity going, and then simply be curious about your relationships with other people yourself sitting at the conference table. I'd be curious about how you could get into the inner circle where they talk about incredible things that affect, business, commerce, society, and the world. And I think that's probably one, is curiosity. I think probably what served Tony Robbins, who attended my seminars all those years ago. The attitude was an incredible, insatiable appetite for learning. And I think if you got that, that's it. That's part of curiosity. You just want to know. So reading the books was no problem. Going to the library was no problem. Going to class and taking notes was no problem. Then I think the third one was to immediately start putting some of it into action. Not to wait till you know it all, but to do what you know and let the rest be unfolded and revealed. The illustration is on a foggy night if you can only see 100 feet. If you walk that 100 feet, now you can see another 100 feet. Take it a bit at a time. But for those components that really start someone on the road to success, I think that's it. Curiosity, appetite for learning, and willingness to put it all into activity right away. then probably willingness to take constructive criticism, not put down the criticism. You know, it's okay. But here's another way to consider. If you just added this, I'm telling you, it'd make you twice as powerful. Somebody says, wow, I'll consider that. So there's unique ways to say it. And then there's, the blundering ways to say it. But if you can get people to give them credit for what they're already doing, add a few more things, a bit of refinement, that's it. People willing to accept that kind of constructive analysis of how they're doing, those are some good components. I asked 2 good questions I think that are really vital, especially for mature people. Number 1, what's got you turned on? Question 2, what's got you turned off? 2 excellent questions. Food for thought. Years ago, shortly after I met Earl Schaff, I finally found out what had me turned off, and I got that cured, and I got enough reasons to get turned on. And from that day until this, no one has ever said to me, when are you going to get going? When are you going to get off the couch? When are you going to get started? I've never heard that since I was 25 years old. Once the fires were lit for me, they've never gone out. I've gone through my challenges from rich to broken back to Rick, and I've been through it all. But I've never had someone say, you gotta get up from here and you gotta get going. Never. And I don't really know how to teach it, and I really don't know how to explain it. All I know is if it ever happens, it's one of the great experiences of a lifetime. Get enough reasons to turn you on, and then just keep adding some more so that you never lack for emotional or physical vitality and spiritual strength to just keep going to make your life as good as you can. Go as far as you can. Earn as much as you can. Share as much as you can. Be as much as you can to the people you love and care about. Live as well as you can if you once develop that thirst and the zest. But it's interesting what's got you turned off and what's got you turned on. See if you can't cut loose from the stuff that's got you turned off. Maybe it's negative attitude. Maybe it's poor thinking. Maybe it's doomsday thinking. You know, the whole world is going to the dogs anyway. Why try a good sermon? Lyrics of a song, conversation with somebody of value might help you turn that kind of attitude around. Like, it's never going to happen for me. Why not? Can a boy, 8, 9 years old, buy a bottle of soap for $2, 0 and sell it for 3 and say yes? He probably could say. Then that means everyone has an answer. Doesn't matter who it is. Everyone can. Not everyone will. But everyone can, and there's no reason why you